They deleted my last upload.
Access denied.
They don't like that information being put out there. And an interesting thing that a lot of people probably noticed is that Donald Trump Jr. shared that video and had his account deactivated on Twitter. Incredible. The president's son, they actually suspended him on Twitter, I believe. And Donald Trump also tweeted that video and they deleted Donald Trump's tweet. The media is doing such an incredible job of eliminating all dissenting voices, failing to report the truth, failing to report anything objective or look at anything objectively, failing to do any true journalism at all, and completely selling the lie to the people. When you look at all that, it isn't like they don't tell us what's going on. If people can't see what's going on, I mean, it's mass mind control. That's the only way I can describe it. It's mass mind control. This is a full-blown Hunger Games type society that they're doing. So it's a full beast system. Right now we have a choice. And we're in a position where we could easily, quite easily, shut this whole system down. We have a choice. How many people are prepared to do that? Shut down all the scrying mirrors and just go back to being human beings again. Because we have the opportunity to do that. We actually can physically, we have the physical ability to shut this whole system down and go back to normal. And we're always given that choice. How many people are prepared to do it? That's the question. This is really the final battle for freedom, folks, what we're facing right now. If we continue to comply with this, I mean, it's slavery. It's a slavery system that they're rolling out. They've forgotten that what they're dealing with here are just people. You're not dealing with the office of government or whatever. You're dealing with people, men in suits who are standing there doing this stuff to you. And you're just putting up with it because you're not united with anybody around you, and most of the people around you are programmed by the television, and they're living in fear. Well, ignorance is a choice these days. It really is. In this age of information, ignorance is absolutely a choice. And the best thing you can do, anybody can do, is to really start being grounded in themselves. I mean, and not just gathering food and preparing all that sort of stuff. Just be grounded in themselves. And as I've often said, you've got to be prepared to face infinity without flinching, folks. That's the only way to get through what's happening, is to walk the path of the warrior. You do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and you are prepared to face infinity without flinching. That's the way through this. Because people say to me, where's the place to go? Where's the safe place to go? When you see the extent of what they're doing, folks, where's the safe place to go? Well, this whole system is worldwide. It's happening in every country. Look how all the greats have faced these types of situations. What you do in the face of what is coming is you stand your ground and you walk the path of the warrior and you face infinity without flinching. Those that choose to walk that path, well, they will walk it, but it's a solitary path, and it isn't your choice or it isn't your responsibility to save everybody. Same as me, it isn't my responsibility to save anybody out there who's listening to this. If everybody did that, if everybody just stood up like that, I think we'd change the world in a day. And this whole system couldn't come online. So, it's a good thing as well. We can change it. Perhaps this is the time we do change it. So let's not lose that insight at all. Let's not be defeatist about it. I mean, I'm not defeatist about it. I'm just prepared to face it. And that's what I'm finding with a lot of people, is they're just not prepared to face it. And what they're not prepared to face is their own inner strength. Because if everybody stood in their own inner strength, we'd change the world in a day. It's really that simple. If we don't, and we just get led into this, whatever it is they're creating, well, hey, I'm prepared to bow out. How that happens, I mean, I don't know. I'll just face it without flinching, because that's what infinity is. So I have no stake in the outcome of any of this. I see it all as a huge opportunity, and these opportunities should be embraced. But I'm not going to just count on that and sit there and live in hope and hope that someone's going to come and save me, because it doesn't work like that. We have to save ourselves, and we have to each do it individually by simply standing up and say, hey, I'm a man. I've just remembered I'm a man. Woman. I've just remembered I'm a woman. I mean, people just need to remember who and what they are. A lot of people just don't want to do this. It's one of the most terrifying concepts that has ever come into their mind. The fact that they are actually responsible for their own salvation, and that they can change the direction of the world by simply participating in being human. This time is so important what's happening to humanity. I think we've been given a choice. We can go in either one of two directions. And we really have to put down the fear and realize that the choice is ours to make. A lot of people aren't seeing that. They're waiting to be saved. And I think that's a big problem. People have to realize what's happening and embrace it themselves. Humanity is right on a cusp at the moment. We really could go in either direction. You know, with all the technology that's coming online, it's all very well to think that, well, this can just free us. But unfortunately, people's hubris may get them into a little bit of trouble, because you've got to take into account the fact that the world is run by criminals who simply don't want to free us. And that is currently who's in control of a lot of the technology. So it's time for people to really step up to the plate with this and realize that we have to start embracing this ourselves, and we have to be the ones that are pushing in the direction that we want. Anybody's question, what the world is going to look like from now is really anybody's question in 10 years from now. Again, it's going to be depend on the initiatives we take and whether we choose to really get out on the front line and remain active in this real world, not just allow this digital world to lead us into what we believe digital freedom will be. You know, we've got to pay attention to what's happening, and we cannot allow ourselves to simply hand control of our lives over to AI without us maintaining control of the system. You know, we've got to get a situation where people are back in control of the system. We don't want government at all. We want an anarchistic type of society, but we need to educate people into how to do that and what's happening. You know, because an anarchistic type of society is not a society that is dictated by artificial intelligence. It's not a society that's dictated by any type of intelligence that is not my own. And that should be that way for everybody. So what the world's going to look like in 10 years, it's going to depend on what initiative we choose to take and whether we choose to stand up for ourselves in the real world and see the possibilities of where this technology could take us, or where the possibilities of where this technology could be used to lead us to. You know, there are still two possibilities here. So we can't allow ourselves to be led through any of this. And we always need to maintain our objectivity and not allow hubris to dictate our actions. That will determine on where we're going to be in 10 years. But I can't really predict at this point. It depends on how much people are willing to really participate in making some change on the ground. Like in the future that's coming, it's really important to continue to embrace the old ways and to not ignore the old ways. If you really look at how consciousness progresses, if you look at how life progresses in everything, all forms of life, all the plant life around us, everything follows Fibonacci sequence. And if you look at Fibonacci sequence, how that works, you know, pi ratio, all this sort of stuff, getting into spiritual, esoteric stuff here, but if you look at how it works, how Fibonacci sequence works, it's a number sequence which, you know, it uses the past number and marries it with the present number to create the future. So essentially you get the present and you marry it with the past to create a viable future. That's how all life progresses, and that's also how consciousness progresses. You know, in this situation we've got now, we're in a great deal of danger of simply embracing the technological way and leaving the past behind. We need to find a way of marrying these two things together. You know, that's what will create a viable future. You know, there's so much knowledge that is there in the past which is in danger of being lost. And even the way everything's been digitized, you know, a lot of life skills. If you were arrested by the police, heaven forbid that you ever are, but if you're arrested and you were taken back to the holding cells and they told you you could have your one phone call, would you even know a number to ring? Do you know the number of your wife or your husband or anything like that? Because you don't dial it anymore, your phone does it for you. You know, we're losing these type of basic life skills. And that's not even that far in the past. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff in the past that we could use to complement what's happening in the future and take control of our lives. Use this technology to take control of our lives. You know, the great danger is that people need to be led to safety. People's need to be saved. And a lot of people in this movement, unfortunately, believe that technology is going to save them without them having to participate in life and without them having to bring those old skills back into use and marry it all together. And that's what we need to do. That's how we create a viable future. So it's important that people do this. If we can do that, we've got a great way out here. But we're at an absolutely pivotal fork in the road right now, and it's going to depend on what we can do to motivate human consciousness into bringing about some real change themselves by participating themselves.